that your labor is more than just a book. We provide authors freedom and flexibility throughout the publishing process, professional book editing, award-winning design, and some of the highest royalty structures in the publishing industry. And as always, you will retain 100% of the rights to your book.
I was looking to find a company that I could trust, one that assisted in the editing process completely.
The most important qualities that I was looking for was a publisher who was honest and upfront, no hidden costs or fees, and owning the rights to my own work.
Christian Faith Publishing will publish, market, and sell your books in all major bookstores, online booksellers, as well as specialty Christian bookstores. Call for your free author submission kit.
800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. 800-978-4812. That's 800-978-4812.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Out-of-date carpet giving you the blues? Tired of your old dingy and broken tile? Let my friends at the Floor Store in Cleveland, Texas give your home the makeover it deserves. This is Old Taco Joe coming to you for the Floor Store. Whether it's carpet, tile, wood flooring, or real wood laminate, the Floor Store can cover all of your flooring needs. Located at 405 West Henderson Street in Cleveland, Texas, owner Brent Harris can help. Shower tile, tub surrounds, even backsplashes. Give him a call today at 817-641-9444. The Floor Store, they got you covered.
Hey, Jill, congratulations on your son getting into the college of his dreams and with a full scholarship, too. Yes, we are so proud of him. You know, I have to be honest. I'm a bit worried about our daughter getting into college. It's so competitive out there, and I feel overwhelmed with where to start. I completely understand. Listen, I felt the same way, and then I met Dr. Gina of Education Prep Centers. She put a plan in place that helped our son stand out in the admissions process and that gave us a peace of mind for how to create a financial roadmap for his future. Wow, that's great. Sounds like I need to give her a call. Yes, she definitely helped our son find the perfect college, meet all his deadlines, and help us feel less anxious about the whole process. You need to reach out to her. Just check out educationprepcenters.com and set up a complimentary assessment with Dr. Gina. You'll be so glad you did. Education Prep Centers, college admissions made easy.
When you're hungry for tender brisket or some delicious homemade cobbler, then look no further than Leach Brothers Barbecue, located at 1106 East Henderson, Cleveland, Texas. Leach Brothers has been family-owned and operated since 1950. Take it from me, Taco Joe Orwinski. Todd and his family have been filling my belly breakfast, lunch, and dinner for a long time. Heck, I even have my own booth, open Monday through Saturday, 6 a.m. to 7 p.m. Come see them for dine-in, carry-out, and all your catering needs.
Serving Johnson County, Texas, Joco Community Radio.
Do my little dance.
Get the chair dance like John Legend on The Voice here, you know?
Yeah. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Real Estate Reality. We are so happy to have you guys here listening in. This is your host, Diana Roberts, with a realtor with eXp Realty, the Cliff Freeman Group. And I've got with me my co-host.
This is Jason Chandler with Affinity Mortgage in Burleson.
And then we have our guest speaker with us.
This is Luke Reichenstein. I'm with Texas Farm Bureau Insurance here in Burleson and Cleburne. So Johnson County.
All right. We like Johnson County.
Joko.
Joko. All right. So I am so excited to have you on the show because I do feel like insurance, there's a lot of questions. I feel that we have a lot when it comes to either the realtor itself. I'm sure you've had some questions come from the lenders themselves, as well as the homeowners itself as well. So can you fill us in a little bit on some of the things that we were kind of talking about a little bit earlier?
Sure. First of all, I'd just like to start with insurance sucks. So nobody likes insurance. So y'all hang in there. I promise you this is not going to be brutally bad. No, and so that's kind of the perspective I take with it as well. But insurance, so what's the point of insurance? You insure what you can't afford to replace.
Right.
For myself, and I assume the rest of us at this table, and probably anyone listening, my home's one of those things for sure.
Yeah.
If my house was destroyed, there's no way I could come up with any form of assets to be able to rebuild that home as it stands today. And so that's the importance of insurance. Insure what you can't afford to replace. Sure as heck can't afford your house. So let's make sure we insure your house so that if something unexpected and catastrophic happens, that you're able to rebuild that home and your standard of living be perpetuated as you're currently living in.
Okay.
So that's a 50,000 point view of it, but there's obviously a lot of nuance in that. And insurance companies, I always go back and forth. Is it used carsman or insurance that has a worse reputation? But it's close. I mean,
I think they're close.
Yeah, they're real close.
I used to sell cars, so yeah, I understand.
Okay, I get it. You see people come in, you're like, I'm not the sleazeball, I promise. You've been there, I'm sure. Yeah. No,
I'm gonna be honest with you, I promise. Okay.
And so insurance has earned its bad reputation. Unfortunately, in a large way it has. And so I hope to be able to educate some people and, the fine print, some of those things, and kind of get into what are some of the big things you should look for? What would some of the smart questions be to ask? And when you need your insurance, how do you make sure it's the right insurance for you?
Absolutely.
And how do you make sure it's going to work how you need it to?
Yeah, because that's always been the thing. Like I notice even with car insurance, like I know we're not talking about car insurance right now, but I even know with car insurance, I did not know that I had to add those things.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I thought when I said full coverage, I was being covered fully.
Sure.
Well, so it's good to know those questions like, hey, what do I need to add on here that's not already on here? And I did not know that at first when I first started, as a youngster, getting car insurance, got into my first wreck. And that was not a good thing for me. My insurance didn't back me because they didn't explain to me the difference between, okay, you asked for full coverage. That doesn't mean you're getting fully covered. That just means you're getting this, this, and this. You still have to add all these.
Sure. And so I'm an agent at Texas Farm Bureau,
right?
Which means I write and set up your policies. They don't give me a checkbook. Every claim would always be paid to the fullest if I got to pay my clients. That would,
right.
And that's the way insurance works up. You have your insurance agents who set up your coverages and make sure you have the right coverages for you.
Yes.
Then you have your adjusters who, based upon the coverages that you've elected for, pay out the claims. Mm-hmm. And so I try as hard as I can to make sure we're setting up the policies the way the client wants. So there's no surprises when the adjuster goes to pay, because they're going to pay based upon the coverages you've selected. So like on your auto insurance there, renters and towing are the two most common auxiliary type coverages. So you're in a wreck, you want a rental car, you may have not had that. So now you're out of luck until your car's fixed. Bad deal.
Yeah.
That's first grade stuff compared to the homeowners insurance world.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like it's way more. And I think that's why it's so important to have you on the show to be able to explain that, because that's your home.
Sure.
There's so much to your home than there is to your car.
And car policies are going to be the same pretty much across companies.
Right.
Trust me, there are people out there who would disagree, but that's definitely true in comparison to homeowners policies. So I promise I try not to bore. Here it comes. I am going to bore. So rewind the clock a long time. It used to be in Texas, every company, if they're selling homeowners insurance, had to write the same policy. So the state said, this is the policy. This is the verbiage in the policy. I brought ours just for illustration. It's long. It's legal. It's impossible to comprehend. You don't know what you have.
No.
If this, not that, unless this is the case. I'm an insurance agent. I read our policy regularly. I know what's in it, but even my eyes get crossed reading our own policy, trying to understand what it is. A lot of my clients or prospects will send me their policies, and knowing the words they're using, I'm still getting cross-eyed trying to figure out, if this, unless this situation there, because rewind it, 92 was the last year where everyone wrote the same insurance policy. And then long story short, the state got out of it and they said, no, companies can write their own policies.
Yeah.
And so mine's an A3, theirs is an A3. Well, if they were all the same, you wouldn't need 27 pages
Oh yeah,
to
that's
explain
a lot.
it. So I say that to say there is no such thing as apples to apples coverage, especially on homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
There's so many, but with that said, they all have the same origin. So there is a lot of uniformity throughout the industry, but the areas in which you don't, that fine print we're talking about, there's some real dangers in getting caught in those kinds of things.
Oh yeah, I can imagine.
So,
So what do you do to help out with this?
Sure. Well, is your adjuster will say you're supposed to read and understand your own policy.
Right.
Unrealistic. Some things I recommend for my clients to do are email correspond with your agents if you have questions on coverages.
Right.
Then you have written documentation. If I misrepresent my policy, it's going to be covered either with my backside or with the insurance policy itself. Second of all, you got to have a good company.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing when it comes to insurance is making sure you're insured with somebody. You don't know what you have until you need them.
Right.
And so unbiased third parties are terrific when you can find them. They're rare. I may be an expert, but I'm not unbiased. I'm a Farm Bureau guy, right? And so if you ask me, hey, what insurance company should you go with? I can tell you all these reasons, but I'm going to say Farm Bureau because I'm a Farm Bureau guy.
Right.
And I'd expect State Farm, all that. So who would be an expert, unbiased third party? People who use whose income are dependent upon claim services.
Okay.
So roofers. I don't know if y'all have ever had a roofer on, but they have some extremely strong opinions on different insurance companies.
Oh yeah, we're going to have one actually next week.
Outstanding. So I that would be a terrific question for that roofer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Is who's a good insurance company out there? Who's easy to work with? Because some companies are going to come out, check the damage. Go, oh yeah, you had a fire, you had lightning. Here's a check. Some companies are going to come out and go, hey, well, how can we not pay this claim? Is how it comes across to people for sure. Mm-hmm. And so there's a huge amount of variability. So yeah, if you can get an unbiased third party's opinion, anytime in life, I feel like you're well-founded to do that. Roofers, collision centers, those are going to be your two biggest ones. Their entire livelihood's dependent upon if insurance companies pay.
All right.
Yeah, and the good roofers that I've seen, they know how to work with them too, with the insurance and make it work. Because I'm like, hey, as long as it doesn't cost me anything,
and I'd say that's a double-sided thing.
It is.
I have zero interest which roofer you use. I see a bunch of them, and I have lots of stories of my clients using different ones.
Right.
So call me and ask who's a good one. I don't get any kickbacks, but I can point you to somebody who's going to make this process easy for you, or I can point you to somebody who's not. So, that has more horror stories associated with them. Let's put it that way.
Right. And that's our job. Our job is to, all three of us, we need to be able to have those good and awesome recommendations that we've used or that that we know are going to take care of our clients.
And that's what blows my mind, Jason. This doesn't involve you as much as it does her right this second, but that's what blows my mind about realtors. I'm not a good expert when it comes to real estate. I have no interest in buying or selling a house soon. I've bought two and sold one. That's all of my real estate transactions in my life, but it was one of the most overwhelming processes of my life.
Yes, it definitely can be.
And so I'm always blown away with realtors. Not only y'all don't get the residual income, you're unemployed every time you sell a house.
Right.
And so the marketing y'all do, but even more than that, you have to be an expert or close to in so many categories. From lending to insurance to inspections, you have to rely on all these people. And, it's amazing when I sit there and go, how in the world do realtors, your job's got to be so overwhelming trying to figure out all these different people. And you're the hub to all these spokes connecting it in this process. And if I have a question as the buyer, I'm calling the realtor. And
that's
so
right.
that's overwhelming. And yeah, the power of those recommendations is strong for sure.
Yes, I agree. And so, I mean, that's why it's very important too for us realtors to do our research too and who we're recommending. And a lot of times your broker does that ultimately for you, but not necessarily all the time. So, but still, I think that knowing, a good roofer, knowing a good insurance company, that's why this is so important. I feel to have, all kinds of, we're going to have everybody on here. There's no discrimination here when it comes to our show because we want even other lenders. We don't mind having other lenders on here because there is a vast majority of people that connect with that person, or they may not connect with, like, it's like me. I have clients that didn't connect with me, that didn't want to work with me after all because we didn't have that connection. And I try not to have that. I mean, I feel like I connect with everybody, but hey. There's always that one person or a couple or whatever, it's okay. It is what it is, but I'd rather have them with somebody that is going to do what they need them to do versus, me trying too hard.
Sure. I mean, if any of my clients are listening or any of my friends, they'll know I like me some me, and I can tell you all my favorite things about me, but not everyone sees me that way. So yeah exactly. I kind of get where you're coming from. I don't know why you wouldn't do business with me, but
I don't either.
Yeah.
What? Look at this face. No.
Yeah, you definitely would. It's good to pair up. Sometimes you could be like, well, I don't know if him and him, or you can do that.
Sure.
Yeah.
But as long as there's a lot of good insurance companies, a lot of good lenders, good realtors in this town.
Yes, for
and
sure.
A lot of good people going on, and the main thing we want to do is what we're doing here is educate people on every aspect of real estate possible.
Sure.
And like I said, insurance is so big, and when I look at it from the lender perspective, property taxes have gone up so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The rates have gone up. So the buyer's sitting there looking, well, payments, why are my payments high? Well, here's your principal and interest. Here's your taxes. Here's your insurance. There's basically three places, that you can look.
Yep.
But they'll be like, well, and when I go into estimate insurance, just on a pre-qualification, I'm of course going to base it off sales price.
Sure.
And assume, whatever. And I don't think I go too low. I see very low estimates because I don't want them to be underinsured. I don't want them to go and say, I put $100 down and it's a $400,000 house. I don't want me sitting in my buyer as a lender saying, well, to keep this payment, I got to find insurance that's $100 a month. Well, that might be some horrible insurance.
Absolutely.
If you could even get it that low. So I try to be realistic. I'm like, I'm not an insurance agent. I have good agents we could refer you to. You certainly welcome to use whoever. But this is just me going based off what just an average, but I'm not an insurance agent, and you're going to need to get a quote.
So
on this home.
So what do you use as your average there? $400,000 house. What are you
probably
doing?
About and then I've been doing this a long time, so I'll look if I see perfect credit, and not that you guys pull credit report, but it also whatever y'all pull is it seems like if they have really high credit scores, they have really low, really high insurance scores.
Mm-hmm.
If they have marginal credit, their insurance scores tend to be a little more marginal.
We pull an insurance score. So what you're
Okay.
talking about, it's not a credit score, but it's based off of the same credit factors that you derive a credit score from.
Okay.
Oh.
So think of a pot roast or beef stew. It's the same ingredients, different proportionality. And so if you have good ingredients to make a pot roast, it's going to be good. If you take those same good ingredients and make a beef stew, it's going to be good. If you have crummy ingredients, probably not going to be so good. So they're highly correlated, even though they're calculated differently. The better your credit, the cheaper your insurance is going to be for home and auto and everything. Not probably.
Yeah, almost always, right?
It is is just a my company may say it's calculated differently, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's a multiplier, and
it's a multiplier.
We give
big
it,
multiplier.
Yeah, it's
big factor.
It's huge, ranging from these are estimates, but I've seen it double your premium to make it 60% of the base premium, depending on what your credit is. It's that large of a factor, depending on companies and those kind of things.
Well, so if I'm sitting there with someone with a 740 credit score, which is considered, if you have a 740, you're getting the best rates in mortgage, whether it's 740 or whether it's 801, same.
Got it.
740 is where you want to be.
Okay.
You know, ultimately is what I got to get the best rate.
Okay.
740 is how mortgages work. So if I have someone with a 750 score, I'm going to assume probably going to get pretty good insurance. So on a $400,000 house, I might do like 225 as a monthly premium.
That's good. I was expecting the general rule of thumb I'd heard in the past was, oh gosh, you're gonna get me lying on the math, but if it was 400,000, then 2,000 would be your annualized premium. And that's too low.
Right.
So I've heard that a bunch. So kudos to you. I was
Yeah.
expecting to hear that. That's much closer to what I was thinking. There's two other factors that you should take into big consideration, though.
Okay.
Roof age and the age of the structure itself.
Right.
And so I have intimate knowledge of quoting Farm Bureau policies. I also have a lot of experience seeing competitors' policies and working with our actual aerial department on different conversations about different insurance companies and have an idea of how a lot of the pricing models are.
Okay.
New home discount, most companies are going to give you a 10-year discount. Each year for the first 10 years, that discount depreciates each year.
So within 10 years is kind of considered new?
Within the first 10 years.
Okay.
Yes, sir. And that can be an enormous discount there because it's also compounded with a new roof discount, whether it's called a new roof discount, whether it's called an old roof surcharge, or whether it's just they look at the home each year.
Okay.
They're going, how likely?
We have a caller. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh, sure
Hello?
thing.
Are you there? Hello, caller? Can you hear me? We are not hearing you. Oh, okay. They hung up. Okay. I don't know what happened there. Everything's good. All right. So yeah, sometimes we will get phone calls, guys. So yeah.
It happens.
It happens. It might have been a dud. Go ahead.
So someone pulled a bad call list is what that was. And
yeah.
they're like, caller, you're on air. What are you talking about?
Oh, I've had that. Yeah. It was funny. Those are funny. I love when they actually
selling you
respond.
knives. I'm selling
Yeah.
No, not right now.
So your new home is a huge discount.
Oh yeah.
And then the new roof. So most companies look at it and go, hey, how likely are we going to have a claim on this policy each year? Well, a new roof can take quite a bit of hail and wind damage, not have any issues.
Right.
If you have a 12-year-old roof, if we get some sonic ice hail, you're going to get your door knocked on by 35 roofers in the next 24 hours saying your roof needs to be replaced. And there will be, even though it's not leaking, there's almost surely going to be enough damage to justify an insurance company to replace your roof.
Absolutely.
So the insurance companies take that information and go, we're going to charge a lot more if you have an older roof than a newer roof. And so one of my big takeaways I'd love for realtors to hear is before you list a house, get a roof inspection done. So before you even list it, have a roofer come out separate from an inspection. If any roofers are listening, they'll do it for free as a part of their job. Come out and do a full roof inspection, write you up a long report, and you could even list that with whenever the house is listed for sale. But I tell all of my clients buying a house to get this done ahead of time. And it holds up the whole process.
Right.
Because if the roof needs to be replaced, now they're filing a claim and we have to go through all that process. Now we've missed the closing date. Maybe your interest rates have gone up. It's just a nightmare. So nip that before it becomes an issue. So
right. I like to do that too because I like to talk to my client, like my sellers. I like to ask them, hey, how old is your roof? Like I always go when I'm sitting there and I'm doing my presentation, that is part of my presentation because I need to know these ages of these things. Like how old is your AC unit? You know, when was the last time you had somebody come out and look at it? Who did you use? I like to ask all of these things because I can have that in place and put that out there with potential buyers so that they know what they're looking at and what they're looking for as well. And then I let my sellers know too, hey, if this roof needs to be done, we're not going to close on time.
No.
So this needs to be done prior to, in my opinion, it's up to you. But if we go into an offer and we go into, a contract and everything's looking great and promising, when it comes up to them getting their insurance on this property, it will not work because the roof needs to be replaced first. So that's going to prolong the situation. So I'm actually one of those realtors that is very proactive when it comes to that because I've been in a situation where it has hurt me when I was first beginning.
Sure.
And I learned my lesson from that one time. So I won't let it happen again.
Oh, and it sucks.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Yeah.
And then they're mad at me. They're mad at you. They're mad at everybody.
Right.
But it's a situation we can't avoid. What you don't want to have happen is you buy this house, the roof is trash. the insurance company is going to send a third party out more likely than not to look at the property.
Yeah.
So you've bought this house, you fall in love with your house, you're in your dream house, and then shortly after closing on the house, you look at it and you go, well, what's this? It says 30-day cancellation, because the insurance companies come out, looked at your roof, and they go, no, your roof has hail damage. We can't insure this property. We're going to cancel it in 30 days unless you replace your roof. That's the worst case scenario.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, all of us are going to look bad if that's the case. So just get that roof report done before you put it. If you're buying a house separate from the inspection,
Right.
ask for a roofer to come out and do a roof inspection on the house. Now, again, to any roofers listening, that's kind of like asking a dog if they want a T-bone sometimes. So,
And there's so many. It's like, who do I choose? I love you all. I
Yeah.
love all my roofer buddies. I have so many, and it's so. I try to like just split it, like, hey,
It's
I gave
tough.
him this one this time. It's your turn. Okay.
Yeah.
I love you all.
and we're really blessed here. I've talked to agents across the state, and they have some roofing nightmare stories, and I have very, very few. But back to what is a good price? If it was, again, I'm lying with my math, but $400,000 house, $2,000 premium would be an exceptionally good premium.
Yeah.
If you have a premium lower than that, you might take your policy, and I mean your whole thick multi-page policy,
Yeah.
should be available on an online portal. Take it to a competitor. I'm happy to look at it, and have them highlight the areas that you should be concerned about.
Right.
Because if you're getting a premium lower than that, you either have a company that I need to switch my personal insurance to, or you may not have the coverage that you think you have. Meaning, whenever it gets hit with lightning, fire, windstorm, hail, you may not get enough money to replace whatever has happened to your house.
Right. Absolutely. So I do have a question too. So have you ever seen those that are homeowners, say they've already, they own the house in full? Have you seen homeowners drop their insurance after something like that?
Yeah, rare.
I was where, yeah,
super rare.
Okay, good. I was gonna say, don't do it.
No,
Keep it.
You know what? I say insure what you can't afford to replace. I have a
That's it.
2018 F-150 out there with liability only on it, so please don't vandalize it. But and it's not that it's not valuable, but God forbid something happens to that truck and I have to replace it. 10 years from now, that's not going to set my family back financially. Right? It'll be an inconvenience. I get a car payment a little sooner than I wanted it, but it doesn't really matter 10 years from now. Now I'll lose my house.
Yeah.
That's
a
where I'm
huge
talking
deal.
about insure what you can't afford to replace. I can't
Right.
afford to replace that. So I do have, you mentioned that I do have a client in which we've gone through, and he owns lots of properties, hunting acreage. Now you're getting to a completely different thing there when you're talking acreage, is for realtors to know.
Yes.
10, if you're going to use a benchmark, 10 acres. If it's over 10 acres, you need to make sure to have at least conversations about farm and how that
Right.
differs. This is kind of self-promoting. We're Farm Bureau. We were born in the country and moved to the city type thing. So we still have really, really good farm policies, but I have one farmer in my entire book of business. So it's not my bread and butter, at least, but there's certain things that you need to look into if you're over 10 acres, and chat with a Farm Bureau agent. Germania agents are highly trained on the farm stuff as well. They're some of the big competition, but over 10 acres. So,
Right.
I have a guy who owns a bunch of property, and it doesn't make sense for him to insure these houses. If they got blown down, he doesn't care about. But with that rare exception, holy smokes, what are you doing? What are you doing? Now, so say you do pay off your house, what should you do? You look through your homeowner's policy, there's a long list of coverages. And largely it's a cookie cutter we're all using, right?
Right.
So your home is insured for $400,000. So personal property is going to be a percentage based off of that. And so there's some certain parameters in which are traditional,
Yeah.
but you don't have to keep it at that amount.
Right.
And
I wouldn't think so, because you wouldn't need, maybe when you have like a mortgage, you have to have some things that are 100% like have to be there. But then when you actually own the property, there may be some things that you may necessarily not need. Right.
Well, and correct.
Okay.
As far as absolutely, if you pay off your house, schedule an appointment with your insurance agent to talk about your options.
Right.
That's a long way for probably a lot of people listening. before then, I mean, Jason, do you care how much personal property they have insured?
Do I as a lender?
As the
no.
lender? No.
Yeah.
No, but do I as
As
a
an
homeowner?
individual? Absolutely.
Yes.
My guns and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. In fact, I'm like, that's not enough.
Man,
Right,
I am so glad you
Yeah.
mentioned guns because
Yes.
Oh wait, we may have to come back to
No,
this,
we
guys,
need to
because
come
we
back to
are
this.
about.
Well,
I do want to know more about
Oh,
that.
This
I'm
is
so
Joko
glad you
Radio. We're
mentioned
talking
guns.
about guns.
Yes,
Damn it.
we
Yeah.
are. That's okay. It's all right.
That's
We're
what we
in
do.
Texas, and we have gun, we have homeowners with guns. That's what it's at. That's what it is. So it's okay.
That's what makes it great.
Exactly. All right, guys. Hey, we are here shortly going to be going to a commercial break. So I just wanted to let you guys know. Stay tuned, though. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with some more awesome information. All right. We'll see you guys in a little bit. Don't go anywhere.
Let's be honest. Wheelchairs are heavy, bulky, and ugly. If you carry a wheelchair in your car to take care of a loved one, you know how hard it is getting that clunky, old-style wheelchair in and out of your car. Introducing the Feathershare Wheelchair. At 13 pounds, it's the world's lightest wheelchair. It folds in seconds and fits neatly in your trunk, backseat, or closet, so you can take it everywhere. And it's only available right here. Order yours today and get a free wheelchair case, a $50 value, yours free. The Feather Chair. The world's lightest wheelchair is just $4.99 with easy payments as low as $16 a month. Sorry, no Medicare or insurance accepted. So call right now to order yours.
800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. 800-823-5826. That's 800-823-5826.
Hey, there's something you forgot to do. It sure is hot. Are you sweating like a dog? Wait, what? Dogs don't sweat. Oh no, you forgot to get your window tinted. Whether it's the kitchen window that sits in the sun for the hottest part of the day, or you just got new wheels, call Sharp Window Tinting in Burleson. 817-615-9379, or look them up on the web, sharpwindowtint.com.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
Serving Johnson County, Texas. Joko Community Radio.
I'm here just dancing. Oh, I need that. All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned. We appreciate that so much. Joko Community Radio is proud to be the voice of Johnson County, Texas, and is live 24/7 on the TuneIn Radio Network. TuneInJoko.com is the place to find all the ways to listen and watch, and the station app is also available for free on Android and Apple devices. Simply search your store, check out our lineup and more at jokocommunityradio.com. This episode and more brought to you by Patriot Claims, making your insurance work for you. Reach out to your Texas sales rep at 844-839-4245, and also be sure to dress your arms and more at thetiffy.com. All right, guys, we are back.
Well, I think we ended the last conversation with guns.
Yes,
So,
let's go back to that.
Cliffhanger there. So
Yes.
you're chatting about your content, your household contents. We call it personal property and insurance. Well, we've done such a great job, we as an insurance industry, of going, all right, we're going to insure your stuff. But if it's expensive, we're only going to kind of cover it. So jewelry, cash, furs, firearms, musical instruments, all these big ticket items, when I say how much stuff do you have, the first things you usually think about are going to have a cap in the policy on how much they'll pay for it more often than not. So you mentioned firearms. Most policies, I say most because Farm Bureau doesn't. I don't know if anyone else doesn't, but a little self-promotion there. Farm Bureau has no limit on firearms. So if you have 100,000 firearms, 100,000 personal property, they're covered. Most companies will cap it at $1,000 or $1,500 is what I see most commonly. I don't know if you saw, I was locking my truck here because I don't have that much in firearms in my truck today. But I mean, that's nothing when you're talking about firearms.
No, it's not.
And so, effectively, a homeowner's insurance, an unaltered homeowner's insurance policy, is not going to cover firearms. You can, with lots of companies, schedule them, and what that means is you give all of the information, year, make, model, serial numbers, the phrase I throw out all the time, but is a Remington 700 and serial number this, built in this year. And then you assign a separate value for it and pay an additional premium for it. But if it's something you can't afford to replace, you need to make sure you get that covered.
Yeah.
In the spirit of real estate here, as a realtor, make sure you know that for your clients. I don't know how often that's going to come up, but it's a great chance for you to prove hey, look at how much I know. But as rates are going up, taxes are going up, I suspect you're struggling with getting in under the magic number for closing these loans. So that's something you can add after the policy's issued.
Yes, I was going to say there are times where, unfortunately, we are at the max. Like we can't look.
There's no budget.
The state ratio is 49.99, and we can't hit 50.
Okay.
I can't bring taxes down.
No.
What can I do? What can I do? I've done all I can with the rate. We max buy down, whatever. Here it is. Okay. Well, maybe you don't. Well, let's, and that's where knowing the agent, be able to call the agent saying, look, here's our dilemma. They really want this, but this isn't going to work to get them into the house. And maybe if there is something specialized like that, it could be like, well, maybe that's something you could look at later.
Absolutely.
Down the road, and I've got to be careful there because we got to make sure, that you do have the good coverage, but at the same time, if it can wait till the future, if this is going to be a $200 or $300, which I don't know how to put it, but sometimes $25 can make a big difference. Believe it or not, per month on qualify for a home.
For realtors out there, something important to know. I'm a little old Farm Bureau. We're something like the 8th largest insurance carrier in Texas. So we're not huge, but we've won a lot of JD Power Awards, different story, but we're not huge. Little old Farm Bureau here has 7 different homeowners policies, 4 of which I can get you replacement costs, which was what you were alluding to, the requirement that most of your lenders are going to ask is for replacement cost. Right. 4 of which have a replacement. Why do we have that many? There's different variables, different things that are covered. Do you want water coverage? Which when we need to get into fine print, that's something big, but do you want water coverage, falling trees, things? There's different things you can alter on the policy. So, right. Something I see more and more is, hey, we need this magic number. Okay, here's the policy I sold my mom. I can't get you to that magic number with this policy, but I can sell you this policy and then change it to this policy the day after you close. Because what breaks my heart, is the client's going, I'm paying $2,500 a month in rent. This is $2,100. I know I can afford $2,500. So, but I get it. You can't close it. And I can, we'll get you this policy. This meets all of the underwriting requirements for most loans. And then the next day, you're going to be responsible for the extra however much per month, separate from your escrow payment. But we can get the loan closed and then immediately change the policy to the coverage that they need. So you have the coverage you need as a client, and you have the numbers you need as the lender. Everyone's winning, and it just requires a little bit of paperwork on the insurance side. So as a realtor, make sure you have an insurance agent that you have these conversations with the agents you're working with.
Well, and so another thing I've seen where we had to work, it's like we've got to find a way to bring this payment down. is talking to the insurance company and going, and this is definitely not something I recommend for.
This is for closing only.
This is,
closing only.
This is for closing, but this is not just for every client either. Because you've got the bigger deductibles.
Oh yeah.
Now a 1% deductible, $400,000 of coverage. That's $4,000, right? 1% of whatever the coverage is. Okay, there's people that they've got the savings, and I can sit there as a lender and see what they've got, and then people that are living paycheck to paycheck and having to pay over like a double premium, $8,000 would set them way back. So, but for the people that have reserves, normally you're talking about older people, not first time home buyers. It could be, hey, this premium, you know what? Let's talk to your insurance agent, because if you did go to a 2% premium, that should double, you're out of pocket, but it's going to bring this down.
I have a 2% deductible.
Yeah.
And so,
because it brings it down.
It makes it significant. So I don't want to use my insurance.
Right.
And so I have a rainy day fund for when it hits the fan. I've got this cash here, and you know what? That's big enough that I can increase my deductible and save hundreds of dollars a year. I'm not wanting to file a claim.
Right.
If I was trying to replace my roof every 4 years, maybe I could, but I don't want to. So raise your deductible, save the money. And if you sit there and look at it, usually if you raise your deductible, if you go 10 years without a claim, you'll more than save all the money that so deductible goes from $2,500 to $5,000. You'll easily save $2,500 in the 10-year time period with that higher deductible. And so if you can afford the additional risk, again, only insure what you can afford to replace, buy as little insurance as you can.
Yes.
So increasing your deductible, meaning a bigger deductible, means less insurance. That means more money in my pocket. And I got a heck of a lot better things I can do with $250 a year than spend it on a homeowner's insurance policy.
Absolutely.
Like anything.
Yeah. So, but that just shows you there's options for bringing it down.
Yeah.
The price of insurance too, because the insurance is like, well, if you're going to put double the deductible down, well, that's saving. Okay, yeah. Here's your reduced.
Here's a fun thing: when you get your homeowner's renewal, everyone loves looking at that, but a lot of companies are automatically bumping people's deductibles up.
Oh.
What happens when prices go up? You shop.
Right.
Well, if most people open their package and go, "Oh, premium went up $60. Okay, that's not that bad. I'll keep it." Well, on page 2 and 3 and 4, it might tell you how they've changed your policy.
Right.
And they've notified you this on page 2, 3, and 4. And so I'm saying more and more, chat with the roofer about it next week, because people are finding out they have these high deductibles to the point in which they almost don't have coverage for their roof.
Oh, wow.
Because it's just being changed on their renewal.
They're not sitting in the policy and saying, here's what's changed. They're just saying, here's your policy.
You think the insurance company's doing something transparently?
But that's a problem.
It is a problem.
Because a deductible, if it's like I said, $400,000 house, that's $4,000. If they've increased it to 2%, that's $8,000 now. If a person's not ready, doesn't have the rainy day fund, they're like, oh my,
where are you going to get $8,000?
Oh Lord,
right.
But a roof's leaking. I got to get this fixed. This is an emergency. It's become not a luxury, a necessity.
Another fun thing about insurance, and I'm just really dogging the industry today, but I don't think your listening base is like, oh my God, I thought insurance was great.
Right,
I thought I thought it was perfect. So fine print. I know you're familiar with these verbs: replacement cost, actual cash value. So replacement, keep that in mind. So replace, that's the key word there.
Okay.
Value is the key word.
Okay.
So bad thing happened to your house. There's typically 2 ways the insurance company can pay for bad things: replace, or how much value was it. So let's take your roof, for instance. Hailstorm comes through. You have a 30-year shingle on your roof. You have a 15-year-old roof. Like I said earlier, 15-year-old roof, it don't take much. Big raindrops could probably damage it. I mean, it takes almost nothing to total an older roof. So 15-year-old roof's totaled. You have to replace your roof. It is leaking or is going to start leaking.
Yeah.
That's what you have insurance for. You call and file a claim on your insurance company. They come out, look at it, go, yep, roof's totaled. It's going to cost $30,000 to replace this roof. I'm just making up numbers here. If it's replacement cost, you get that $30,000 less your deductible. Simplicity, let's call it $5,000 deductible. You get $25,000. to replace your roof. Okay, that's not bad. Actual cash value being a big thing there, it depreciates.
Right.
So for oversimplicity, 15 years in on a 30-year shingle, let's say it's 50% depreciated. So that 30,000, you only get the 15,000 value that was left. Oh, your deductible's still there.
That was the deductible.
And now you're down. You get a $10,000 check to try to figure out how you're going to replace your roof. So you also, each year, a best practice would be each year just shoot your insurance agent, do I have replacement cost coverage on my roof? Because some companies out there have gone to where, a lot of companies actually have gone to where they're automatically flipping policies when the roof hits a certain age to actual cash value. So I know one of my large competitors has a 12-year limit on that.
12-year.
And so it's very important to know that as a homeowner.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if it's year 11, I'm going to get a roofer out there.
Right.
Because
and get it done before.
Yeah. And if I have
Absolutely.
enough damage, just because your roof isn't leaking doesn't mean it's not damaged.
Exactly.
And so year 11, you need to get a roofer. I can recommend several. You need to get a roofer out there to look at your roof. And if you need to file a claim, do it then, because you get the 25,000, not the 10.
Right, which is better and helpful
Yeah.
for sure. That's a lot more.
Yes.
That's going
A
to
lot
definitely not hurt your pocketbook or your wallet at that point.
So email, make sure you have replacement cost.
Okay.
Ask if the policy ever transitions from replacement cost coverage on the roof to actual cash value coverage. If
Okay.
it hits a certain age threshold and automatically does that, would be something as a user you should know that you have. That's this fine print. This is how insurance earned its bad reputation. And it's not, Art Brooks. It's not Sharon Robinson. It's not me here in town. We have these long contracts. It's not ideal, but find out what you have. And these are some of the actual cash value versus replacement cost. On the roof, does it automatically transition? That's something very important to know.
That is very important. I like that a lot.
Everybody, check out your homeowner's policy.
Yes,
if
and
you've had it.
Email your agent.
Yes. And find out how old your roof is.
Yes.
And I think that's important too, is maintaining your house.
Oh, of course.
Definitely. If you don't want these big pocket items and you want to go ahead and increase your deductible, if you're able to do so, and, if you're able to keep your house, make sure you know what's going on with your foundation, make sure you know what's going on with your roof, make sure you know what's going on around the outside of your home, the greenery, the dirt, the mulch, like all of that. You need to make sure that all of those things are not hurting your foundation, not hurting your property, but helping it. And there are ways of putting things around your property to to prevent those kinds of things too, floods and what's the other one? Getting cracked foundation. There's so many things that could help with this.
So glad you said flood and cracked foundation.
Yes, I knew you were going to want to go there. Go ahead.
They're basically not covered under most policies in Texas. Floods through FEMA.
Right.
Realtors at least are going to be familiar with flood insurance when you need that. The foundation, typically that's earth movement.
Yeah.
And so another fine print area on the insurance policy is don't expect, y'all remember, when was this? 2015, 2014, there's that house on Lake Whitney. And they were right on the cliff, had this beautiful scenic view. And the cliff just kept falling away. And then the house fell into the lake. Wasn't covered by insurance. That was earth movement. Insurance doesn't cover earth movement.
Wow.
And so real tragic situation there. What happens for most people though, we have some of the worst soil in the country here in Burleson, Texas.
We do.
And so the shifting soil, it's going to happen. And
I think it's black dirt, right? We have black dirt here.
Don't get me lying on that.
I
So
think it's black dirt.
Clay.
Yeah, I think it's more the clay. It's pain to dig in. I know that. But so it's horrible soil.
Yeah.
And so strongly recommend homeowners reaching out to a foundation company.
Yeah.
Urgent Foundation Repairs, terrific people. If you need a recommendation, reach out to a foundation company and hey, what should I be doing to maintain my foundation?
Absolutely.
I know they have some recommendations with soaker hoses at different times. Smarter people than me know that information, but that's an area insurance isn't going to cover.
Right.
And so even more important that you take care of it because it can be catastrophic. Back to the fine print though, there are some things covered by insurance that vary from one policy to the other. A very common one is going to be slab leaks.
Okay.
So
That's
whether
good
it's
to know.
earth movement or something else, if you have a leak in the slab, then the way in which insurance companies address that coverage varies dramatically from one company to the next. So, trying not to get too lost here, which I know we got an hour to fill, but Lord, I'm talking insurance people.
Right.
So, you want to make sure that the insurance is going to pay for water damage.
Right.
And when you look on your declaration page, which is the page with all the numbers on it, if you have something that lists limited water damage, you're going to want more clarification on that. If you don't see limited water damage, then you want to ask if you're sending the email to your insurance agent anyway, ask about the water damage.
Right.
That's something that's usually added on as an endorsement,
Okay.
but often can be limited. I have a bathroom upstairs.
Oh,
if
yeah, so
my
you definitely-
bathroom leaks,
Yeah.
we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage. It's a story and a half. I hardly go up there.
Mhm.
So by the time I'm noticing downstairs that I have a leak
Oh,
upstairs,
bad.
we're hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of damage.
Right.
I see policies out there all the time that limit it at $5,000, $10,000, or $15,000 worth of water coverage.
Yeah.
Well, what good is having insurance if it doesn't cover a catastrophic event?
And that would be catastrophic.
That would be catastrophic.
Absolutely.
And
Especially
so-
with HVAC too, because you have your, you
Yeah.
have your hanging units in the
Yeah.
in the attic. And if it doesn't have a kill switch on it, if that starts to, build up a lot of condensation that's now starting to leak out of that pan into your roof and causing damage there, that's another one.
So really the two biggest areas of fine print. Oh, don't hit the table. Just heard that microphone. The biggest two biggest areas of fine print shenanigans I see are the actual cash value on the roof, and people not knowing when it becomes actual cash value or if it already is, because I can get your premium a lot cheaper.
Yeah.
If I'm going to pay you $10,000 instead of $25,000 for the most common claim we have in Burleson, yeah, that lowers your premium a lot. So actual cash value versus replacement cost value on your roof won't be listed on the deck page. Second thing is going to be water coverage,
right?
And all the different forms of that. So leakage, seepage, sewage backup, overflow, slab leaks. Your insurance agent will know all the different types of water coverage. And when I'm saying water, I mean water that's supposed to be in the house getting out. This ain't rain. This ain't
not flood, people.
Not flood. Not flood.
Yeah. This is the HVAC, like I said,
Yeah.
that story, or the plumbing.
Yeah. So for
inside the house.
Yeah.
And for realtors, before you list a house, so things to get info, you want to be, I assume as a realtor, you want to be able to answer the questions that are going to come. You want to have the answers before they ask the questions.
Absolutely.
So before you list, have you ever had a water loss? Have you ever had a fire? Have you ever had a liability claim? Those are going to pop up on my side, and I'm going to need a lot more information before I can bind coverage, before I can get you what you need to be able to close the home. And so if you don't have that information, it's great when I can call the buyer and go, hey, I need more information on the water loss they had 5 years ago. And they call, and the realtor to realtor, and then you have the answer and you go, oh, yeah, that was the hose came out of the back of the washing machine and it flooded the laundry room. Oh, okay, great. It was appliance related. It's not a reflection of the house. Because if it was a pipe burst, and you still had the old pipes in your house, and well, then I can't insure this house because the rest of the pipes are likely to break.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to have that information ahead of time. Water loss, fire, liability, and theft are going to be the four big ones. So water, fire, theft, liability.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, I will definitely make sure to keep that going. Or, and we'll ask those questions because, typically I look for these things when I'm looking at a house. I'm looking for what might come up. And that's why I do when I do my listing appointment, I walk around the property with the client and I ask those kinds of questions around the house because I'll see things like I'm sorry, you can't hide if there was a fire in your house. There's just, it's really hard to hide that. And I need to know about it. And then also like if there's any water damage, I can look at under the sinks and tell that there's some rotting wood there due to what looks like water damage. Hey, what happened here? Is this something that's going to come up? Because they're going to open this. So those are key things that I definitely make sure I look for as well.
And sellers should not be, I think you probably come across some sellers trying to hide. Oh yeah, didn't think that was a big deal or something, but you know, they are on the hook for their seller's disclosure. You got to tell everything that's happened to that house.
Absolutely.
Or that's bindable after the fact to come back and be like, you weren't honest here.
That's why I make sure.
Water and fire, wow, smoke, damage, stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. You
Those are
better be.
huge, big stuff.
Heather
said, "Great information, thanks."
Oh, outstanding. That doesn't get said every day in my house. So thank you very much, Heather.
Thank you, Heather.
Hey, I wanted to throw a few, when you asked me to be on the show, beyond flattered. Like I said, you asked, can you come on and talk about you for an hour? Absolutely. But I was sitting there thinking, what do I wish realtors knew?
Yeah.
And so a couple things that came to mind were timeliness. And so, again, I've only ever bought 2 houses, but each process took approximately a month. Once that earnest money is in, as an insurance agent, I would love to be brought into the conversation then.
Right.
I strongly recommend having an agent who goes out and does a property inspection, because the last thing you want to have happen is me as an agent go, yeah, we'll insure this house. Then frequently the insurance company will go out and take their own pictures. And if they don't want to insure it, then they're going to cancel your policy on you. So have an agent go out, look beforehand. You need the time to be able to do that. And then the earlier I can get involved in it, the more options I can help you understanding, getting in, making sure you have the getting in under the numbers you need for closing. So if the earnest money's in, if I was as an insurance agent, I'd love for the realtor then to be like, hey, who's your insurance agent? Let them know that you're looking at buying this house. Second thing.
So wait, I have a question for that though, really quick. So if you do have where you have the agent go out and inspect the house as the insurance agent, does that cost anything to our buyers?
No, ma'am.
Okay.
No, ma'am.
All right. So that's good information, because there's all these costs and stuff. I want to make sure that I inform my clients, my buyers of the costs that are coming ahead of time. I even have a flyer that I send out to them so they know what to expect.
So Luke Reichenstein, how I handle my business, I like to see the property before we insure it. Little things. If the tree's too close to the roof, the insurance company, not me, the insurance company may say, we don't want to insure this because it takes one big wind, hit the shingle, pulls up the shingles. Now we're $25,000 in on a new roof.
Yes.
And so I'd rather go out ahead of time, because the insurance company's going to get the information they need. They're not just blindly insuring these properties.
Right. No,
they're going to send a third party usually out to go take photos of the property they've insured. And if they see things that are a concern, they're just going to 30-day cancel the policy if it's something that they're allowed to do that from. Typically these are things that are caught by the inspection and those kind of things. But I like to go out and address problems before they come up, type thing.
Okay.
So through this process, twofold: get the roof inspection done beforehand.
Yes.
If I'm buying a house, get the roof inspection done. It comes up, roof needs to be replaced. We agree for them to file a claim on the roof. I assume that would be the normal process.
Absolutely.
Speaking insurance side here, because this adds complexity. The roof is the biggest determinant for the price of the insurance policy on lots of policies. And so you can use that as a time to upgrade your roof if you have room in your budget. You might be able to bring down your escrow payment. So I don't know how your world works, but Jason, say I'm pre-qualified for $500,000 and I'm using $450,000. Okay, so I want an extra $50,000 and I'm willing to use that to help upgrade the roof while they're going through the claim process. They just got $25,000. I want to spend an extra $50,000 to upgrade to a metal roof. There may be enough savings by upgrading to that higher roof that your monthly payment go down. So you buy more house, but your insurance premium shrunk so much. You're getting more house for less of a monthly payment.
What do you think about that?
It's doable.
We've got his head spinning.
Yeah, with an escrow holdback.
We are actually getting lower on time though, but go ahead.
Boy, that's a good point. No, it's because they don't want you spending money ahead of time until you own the house.
But if you could agree upon a purchase price with a standing seam metal roof, $50,000 over, then that would be great. Hey, I hope y'all aren't crying with boredom here.
Well, thank you guys so much. Yes,
good
thank
info.
you. Y'all are awesome. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Hey, you guys, tune in next Wednesday. We're going to have some awesome guests too. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great day.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County, Joco Community Radio.
Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog.
I'm Wilfred Brimley for Loafing Dog. You know, when I get the hankering for a hot dog, I go to Cleveland, Texas. Just a couple blocks